Welcome back to another episode of Under Further Review, NFL Combine Week. So it's just kicking off as we record this. It's Friday night, so the first day's in the books. We have a whole weekend of the NFL Combine, but there's been some impressive, I guess, traits and characteristics and results that have been coming from the NFL Combine, and pretty excited to talk about them. And we'll go more in depth as the weekend goes on next week, but I guess we'll talk or put a spotlight on the first day in this episode. And then later in this episode, we're going to do a mock draft. So I'm going to actually, who has Vegas again? I'm already blanking.
I'm taking Vegas.
All right. So Mike's going to have Vegas. I'm going to have the New York Jets. And then Kevin's going to have the Arizona Cardinals. So we're going to do the first three picks, and we're going to go through the entire draft. We're going to show our screen. We just learned how to share a screen on this Riverside app. So that's fun news. I think this is just opening up a whole new world for us. And I can't forget about the interview because I don't know. This is
a big one.
Matt Miller from ESPN. I know Mike was a little upset he couldn't join for that one. Kevin, you were at work. It was like middle of the day for this one. Luckily, I have a position where I either get home early or I can just, do it for 15 minutes. But yeah, Matt Miller was nice enough to give us his time. Really cool interview. He had some awesome stuff to say. And my first few questions weren't even about the NFL draft. It was about him specifically. So if you're interested in Matt Miller at all, those first 2 minutes or those first two questions are about him, and then we get into the NFL draft and talk about some players. But before we start off with our opening segment, I wanted to read this story to you guys because I thought it was a fun one. I love all the fun facts and stories that come from the NFL Combine every year. And all day I've been scanning. I don't know if you guys been doing this, but I just been scanning through social media, just seeing who's getting what.
The beauty of it is we don't have to because you do it for us.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
And you put it in the group chat.
So
we get to see it real time.
It's just fun. Honestly, it might be turning into one of my favorite sports days of the year.
Combine week is fantastic. Yeah. It's just as good as the draft weekend to me.
Yeah. The whole process. And that's why half our show is on the NFL draft, because we just love it so much. But so Lindsay Rhodes, I think she used to be with ESPN. I'm going to look. She's with Sumer Sports now, but she wrote because somebody was talking about the Chargers, including their thoughts on Joe Hortiz. I don't know how to say his name. Hortiz. How do you guys say that?
Hortiz.
I'll go with that. She goes, favorite story of the week was from Hortiz. It was about Darrelle Revis at the Combine, 3-cone drill. Revis did it wrong, but the way he did it wrong required way more athleticism than the right way. Hortiz was the Thomas Dimitrov. They looked at each other wide-eyed like, UTF, did we just see? She's writing in Twitter terms. The guy on the field made Revis do it again the right way. Hortiz and TD were like, buddy, we got what we need. So I guess the fact that he did it the wrong way, Darrelle Revis, and it looked way more athletic the way that he did it, they were like, oh my God, this is generational cornerback right here. But that sounds like a Darrelle Revis story, doesn't it? You guys are Jets fans.
He that man dances to the beat of his own drum. I'll tell you that. He's a different kind of cat. But nobody ever looks at Revis. That's a great story because you look at him, and I don't think anybody looked at him as the most athletic guy in the room. I don't think he ever was the most athletic guy in the room, to be completely transparent.
No. But
he was just, he was just different. Literally just, I hate the term built different. I think it's stupid when people say that. But Revis truly was.
He was. I remember, I don't know if I've told the story on this podcast, though. I might have. But I actually went to the Jets training camp his rookie season, and I went with my uncle because it used to be out on Long Island before they moved back to Jersey. And it was the first day Revis signed. So it was jam-packed with people everywhere. That sports memory right there will always stick with me because how old were we when Revis was a rookie?
God, we were young,
14?
Freshman, sophomore year of high school, right?
14, 15?
Oh. Yeah, so 2000, he was drafted 2006 or was it 07?
I thought it was, yeah, it's either 6 or 7.
Yeah, I mean we were kids. We were kids.
Yeah, not even driving yet.
We are very much every bit of mid-30s, and we were very much kids then. No, and actually, to be fair, when he was drafted at 14, I don't think I don't think anybody actually knew, like in our group, who knew who he was or what he was capable of.
No.
And to be fair, that year, I think if I remember correctly, wasn't it Leon Hall that got all the hype that year?
Michigan.
Yeah, I think nothing. I think we've talked about this on the podcast before. Nothing against Leon Hall, and to be fair, I think he was, what did he go, 9th overall that year? I think.
Yeah, he was early. I don't know his exact number that year,
but yeah, it was Leon Hall in that draft that got all the hype, and at the time Pittsburgh wasn't a world beater, and I remember when the Jets took Revis. Oh, sorry, he went after Revis at 18. I felt it was a reach at the time as a young Jet fan, and boy, was that wrong. I mean, he was every bit worth it 100 times over.
Yeah. I was actually going to say that.
I mean, a redraft probably taken him 1 or 2. I don't remember exactly how the draft class. Like,
I'm looking right now. I think he's probably your first overall selection night.
Who else was even in that draft? Do you remember?
Calvin Johnson, Joe Thomas, Patrick Willis. A pretty good draft.
Yeah, that's hard to say. I guess because he's the best cornerback of all time, you would say 1 or 2, but I mean, Calvin Johnson.
I'm going to be honest with you. Joe Thomas, I think, went 2 that year. Probably would go first overall if I had to assume.
Yeah,
no, sorry.
Johnson
went 2. Johnson went 2. Then I think Joe Thomas went after that. I would probably say Joe Thomas just because he plays a super premium position, would probably win it first overall. And then you could probably make an argument for Johnson or Revis, although I think Revis was the more impactful player over his career. That draft, looking at it now, those top 4 guys, man, holy. Poor Jamarcus Russell, where do you think he gets drafted?
Yeah, that's a good point, what you made before, though, with like not knowing who this was, because I remember sitting there at the camp and I was like, out of Louisville, right? That's where Revis was from.
Yeah. No, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. I always say Louisville for some reason. Out of Pittsburgh, I'm sitting there like, they're not a football powerhouse. Like, who is this guy that the Jets just drafted? And why is everyone like going wild over him? Like showing up in numbers. But I guess they do that for like any first round pick. They're going to get excited about it, show up. People are going to.
I think for the future, this would be a fun year to do a redraft. Looking at this draft class, this would be a fun redraft.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Just throw a couple more names out. You had Adrian Peterson in that draft, LaRon Landry, Marshawn Lynch. Who else do we have here? Dwayne Bowe, John Beeson. I remember when John Beeson for a while there was that guy was a stout. Like when the Panthers got him, he was viewed every bit of being a special player. Yeah. Joe Staley was in that draft. Ben Grubbs was Greg Olsen, Paul Posluszny, Eric Weddle.
Jeez.
This class. Oh my God, Lamar Woodley. Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. Steve Smith. That's the year Steve Smith got drafted to the Giants. Ryan Khalil.
Okay.
Man.
That was a good
Marshall Yanda, who will be a Hall of Famer. One of the best, tackles to ever do it.
So,
let's go.
Yeah, this draft class is disgusting.
So you could practically make almost a whole first round of Pro Bowlers with that draft.
You certainly could. Jet great Nick Folk.
There we go.
Still going.
My other favorite tweet today was from Kyle Hamilton, where he goes, I just got brutally frame mogged. So NFL Network put up a side-by-side. It was Sonny Styles and Kyle Hamilton, and it was linebacker versus defensive back. And they showed height, which Sonny Styles is 6'5", Hamilton 6'4.5". Weight, Sonny Styles is 244, Kyle Hamilton's 220. 40-yard dash, so Sonny Styles got 4.47 and Hamilton got 4.4 or 4.59. And then the vertical, Sonny Styles got 43.5 and Hamilton got 38 inches. So they kind of roasted Kyle Hamilton with that graphic. But I think that's a good way to get into our opening segment, because I want to talk Sonny Styles just because what he did today, people are like, this man can play edge rusher. He can play linebacker. He can play safety. He can play cornerback. Heck, if you wanted to throw him on the offensive side and run the football, he probably could do that, because the numbers that he put up in the NFL Combine today are probably some of the most impressive numbers you'll see in an NFL draft, like a prospect entering an NFL draft. And a lot of people were high on him coming in. I don't know if too many people are having top 5 conversations about Sonny Styles at this point, but I think this NFL Combine today, what he did, slammed home like a conversation, at least, that this man could be in the or could be in the top 5. It's just really it would be based on needs. So obviously the Raiders aren't going to take him because they're most likely taking Mendoza. I think you could make an argument for the Jets, but I think this entire podcast is stuck on two names, which is Arvell Reese and David Bailey for that number 2 pick. Third pick, I keep hearing that the Cardinals are going to want an offensive lineman. I don't know if they go in that direction. Maybe they take a Sonny Styles type to strengthen their defense. I could certainly see him with the Titans. That would be a good spot.
I think Robert Saleh very much is going to look to if my original thought process about this these numbers that we're seeing from Sonny Styles would have been whoever was left over from the Jets, Reese or Bailey, was going to end up a Titan with Saleh. I got to be honest. Sonny Styles, to me, I think the Titans and him could be a match in heaven. Truthfully, our biggest thing on this podcast is I think we've all said it, is that you could play Arvell Reese anywhere on the front 7. I'm going to be honest. I think you could play Sonny Styles anywhere you want on the field.
Front 11.
I mean, you want to line him up to kick field goals, you probably could do that too. I mean, the dudes he could play. I don't know. I don't know what position you'd even call him. Defense.
He's a Swiss Army knife. I mean, you could pull
just defense.
So he did the 10-yard split, the 40-yard dash. He did the vertical and broad jump, and then his height, weight, and he hasn't benched yet. But everything that he has done today has landed him in elite categories. So let's talk about this. His vertical is 43.5. That's a elite. That's a 9.99 on the RAS score. His broad jump was 1102, which was elite also, 9.96. His 40-yard dash, 4.47, was elite, 9.43 on the RAS. His 10-yard split, 1.51. That was 9.73 on the RAS. And then his height and weight were both elite for his position. So
yeah, he's got a total combine score, if you believe in next gen stats, of 94, which puts him not just at the top for linebackers. It currently puts him number 1 overall for athleticism score across. And granted, the receivers haven't gone and running backs and stuff, but this is a freak.
I haven't looked at did a deep dive of what other people have gotten in other drafts. I would have to imagine that this is one of the best scoring, at least linebackers, we may have ever seen in the NFL draft. And
yeah, it's incredible.
To be. And in a year where I'm seeing tweets and people's opinions where they're saying this is not a good draft all the way around. It's not even top heavy this year, people are saying. It's just a poor draft altogether. And in a year where that's happening, we're seeing some real athletes today. So does that kind of change your opinion on how you're looking at this NFL draft? Maybe this is the topic we were thinking about talking about, Mike, the one you threw into our notes where, does the NFL Combine change your opinion on athletes and help improve their draft stock, right? That was the question that you posed. So I don't know. I feel like Sonny Styles, it certainly did. And this is a player who had an excellent college career at Ohio State. He was a starter for a national championship team. He came back for his senior season. He was excellent alongside Arvell Reese all season. He certainly put up college numbers that would say he should probably get a 10 to 15 or top 10 to 15 pick. I don't know.
I think that in this conversation, when you're saying is the NFL draft, and I posed it, is it not necessarily the end all be all, but could it change your opinion? When you have a player, and I think Sonny Styles is the definition of it, that not only does he blow up the combine like he has, but he also has the production, real production to back it up. Yeah, that's a whole different game for me. It's not like one of these players where sometimes you see a guy who, didn't get all the time or minutes and didn't play a ton in college, but he blows up the combine. You're like, wow, that's an athlete. This is literally a guy who pretty much played all 4 years of college with, good production, and then it turned to great production the last 2 years. And now you're telling me I could back those statistics up with legit numbers of athleticism? I got to be honest with you. I think the only thing keeping him out of that Arvell Reese conversation is that there are those that think that he's probably more of a safety linebacker hybrid rather than an edge linebacker hybrid. And that's a fair assumption because, that's what we all thought. I got to be honest. I think this guy is literally, like we were just saying, is you could play, we were just talking about it. You could literally, we said Arvell Reese, you could play on the front 7. Well, you could play him every single piece of the defense. You want to line him up on a player, on a receiver? He probably can. You want to line him up and to spy a quarterback? He definitely can. You want to rush the passer with him? He literally has identical numbers to what Arvil Reese this year did last year. This dude's a freak. I mean, as a Jet fan, I don't think it'll happen. I think Reese is probably still the pick, but Sonny Styles definitely make you think, is this the guy we should be looking at? Yeah, I wouldn't be upset. I don't know.
I agree. I mean, I do feel like the combine does help the players that do attend, just because you get to see their athleticism. You never know, because, I mean, they could just be very athletic and in a wrong system, and you're just trying to see how athletic and what you think you can use him for. So I do feel like the combine does help the players that do go, but I mean, sometimes it hurts the players that do go too. So
yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I know that Bain, it said he was testing at the combine. I don't know.
I think he was just doing measurables. That's what
Yeah, I thought he was testing. I thought they said that he was going to run and do all that other stuff. But like a guy like Bain, who people are questioning his athleticism, obviously, if I'm him, I'm not running. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm saying watch the tape, go off of that, which I think for him is very fair. But a guy like, Sonny Styles, who had to answer a lot of I think we all had questions about him, right? Is he, like Steve said, I think probably until recently we were viewing him as like a, top 15 talent. And then he shows up at the combine, backs up his production with actual athletic numbers. And then now we're talking like we're having a conversation right now here about Jets at number 2. Well, we don't think it's what would happen. Are we going to be shocked if it does? Probably not. Realistically, if you said, hey, where do you think he goes? Like I said, I think that whoever the Jets don't take, whether it be Bailey or Reese, I've always felt that they would go to the Titans at 4. I don't think now. I think now it's going to be whoever's left over of that pick, and whatever it is. I think let's just say Reese goes 2. It'll be Bailey and Sonny Styles. And actually, as we have a Giant fan on the podcast, do you pass up who's left over from that? Do you pass up a Bailey, a Reese, or a Sonny Styles now at 5? I don't know. I really don't. This is a really, really, if you needed a defensive end, this is the year you need it.
Yeah.
I don't think the Giants would go that way. I feel like they have too many already.
Well, they're getting rid of Kayvon, or trying to.
They still have Carter and Burns. So I feel like if they were going in a direction of defense, if Sonny Styles was there, they would go there. But I think if not, I think Downs is more of where they should go.
I agree. Some people brought up Love also because, I've
been seeing that as well.
They're looking to become a more physical rushing attack, and it looks like they want to become a run-first type offense in general. So if you get that two-headed attack between a Love and Scadaboo, or even if you go after Walker in free agency, or I even saw Etienne as a free agent target. So the Giants might look at running back. They might trade back their pick. Also, I saw a report saying that the Giants could be the first ones to trade back in this NFL draft. But going back to the NFL Combine, by the way, I would love a Sonny Styles.
I was about to say, I mean, you guys there was talk of releasing Okereke, right? So, I mean, he answers as many boxes as a Downs does. Or, I'm not crazy about taking a running back at 5, personally. I think we've all discussed that. But I think that now, as we stand here today, I got to be honest, if you're the Giants and Sonny Styles is there, checks a lot of boxes. And especially if you're of the mindset that Abdul Carter may not, I know there's some questions about his growth, which I'm going to blame the coaching staff on mostly. But I mean, one, you get a guy from a winning program, and you get a guy who could literally play. Could you imagine what Harbaugh could do with him? It's insanity.
It was Abdul Carter's attitude right from the start when he was like, I'm going to request Lawrence Taylor to unretire his number, and then
that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And then he slept through team meetings and stuff like that. It wasn't a good rookie season, but I feel like at the end of the season he did start to turn it on. We saw a few more sacks. We saw him in the backfield a lot more.
He's definitely got a no nonsense coach now.
Yeah,
I think but could you imagine if you get that going right? You got Burns, and then you've got a guy, whether you use him as a situational pass rusher or a guy who's just sitting back there in Sonny Styles. That, I mean, I could be honest, that those 3 guys alone, if they're going right on a front 7, is out of this world. I don't know. I'm fawning over Sonny Styles now. Obviously, I don't think he's a pick at 2, but if somehow he ends up being the pick at 2, I'm not going to be upset.
No, you can't complain.
Dude's incredible.
Going back to the NFL Combine question, though, I have 2 examples. One's from today, and one is from a few years ago. I'll start with the one from a few years ago. You guys remember when Xavier Worthy ran that 4.21 and jumped into the first round? I mean, Xavier Worthy coming out of Texas, people thought, I don't even think people viewed him as a day 2 pick coming out of Texas. They thought he was a later in the NFL draft guy. He's smaller. He certainly doesn't have the size. He's specifically, in a lot of people's eyes, he probably was only going to be a slot receiver, but he's really proved himself to be a very valuable piece of that Kansas City Chiefs offense. The other one was Lorenzo Styles Jr. I don't know if you guys saw his numbers today.
Kevin pointed out, I didn't even know Sonny Styles had a brother.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's safe. Yeah. So he had the fastest 40-yard dash, 4.27. His 10-yard split was the fastest, 1.49, and his vertical jump was 4th at 39 inches. And mind you, NFL.com, before the combine started today, had his prospect grade at 5.67. You know what that comes out to? That's a candidate for bottom of roster or practice squad. So I think the fact that he's putting up these type of numbers, I mean, we're not talking a first round pick, obviously. We may not even be talking about a second round pick, but people might be sitting there late day 2, now day 3, and they're like, oh, Lorenzo Styles on the board, and he has this athletic ability. He was the fastest guy at the combine. Why don't we give him a chance? So I think it can certainly make a difference for these players. Some of these premier guys, like if I sent that clip of David Bailey today where he was having trouble going side to side and slipping a lot, I don't think that's going to change anything for David Bailey. Like, if you like David Bailey and you want to pick him at number 2 as the Jets, like, you're going to do it regardless of what he's going to do at this NFL combine today. But like a guy like Lorenzo Styles, who is looking at like a practice squad or like maybe a 7th round pick, like, this could be the biggest moment for him because he's getting the spotlight on him. A lot of Ohio State guys really did excellent today. I saw Caleb Downs had like some of the best interviews at the combine so far. Organizations were blown away by him. I know the Giants were like in love with him before the combine even started. That's the reports going around. And Kev, you mentioned that. So outside his measurables where like he's just a freak at safety, he's also checking off the boxes with the interviews as well. But then you have Styles. Arvell Reese had a really strong NFL combine. Now you have Lorenzo Styles. Like, what is going on in Columbus? I hate to say it as a Michigan fan, but they're really getting these guys ready for the NFL draft.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, I like I said, I had no idea who Lorenzo Styles was until Kevin brought it up before we got on here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I look at these numbers and I'm like, I mean, the guy isn't a start. He didn't start at Ohio State. I'm not even sure how much he played. He's got a really poor production score. Yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder how they didn't repeat this year, honestly, with the talent that they have this year. I don't know if Carnell Tate's running, but I'm sure that he's going to put up absurd numbers as well. Like, kind of makes you wonder what went wrong there. Obviously, that's talk for another podcast. But yeah, that team's scary athletic. Scary athletic.
Yeah. I want to mention what I also sent in the group chat today because I thought it was funny. You remember I sent that NFL Combine Explained?
Yeah. I like it.
I don't know if this is perfect. I don't write people too much on this app, but I wrote someone and said, thank you for this because I was so happy about it. So character concerns, and he's just like throwing out there all the like statements people can make about players. So in quotation marks, I can't even talk tonight. Quotation marks, he has character concerns. And his answer for that is check the Twitter from 2019. Plays bigger than his size. And then his response is they're talking about D'Angelo Ponds, which we got to talk about D'Angelo Ponds at some point. He's been getting talked about nonstop. Tested off the charts. His response was your team is about to reach half a round for him. Arm talent. His response was he threw a ball 60 yards in an empty stadium with no pass rush. Bloodlines. His response, his dad played in the NFL, so we're drafting a family tree. Violent hands. His response was, would be a red flag in literally any other job interview. We're excited about the depth of this class. His response was, we don't know what to do in round 1. Plays with an edge. His response was, got into a fight at the Senior Bowl and we liked it, which made me think of Derek Moore because he got into a fight. We did our homework. His response was, we watched some YouTube clips you did. He's a football player. His response was, we have nothing measurable to say about him. Small school guy. His response was, played against future accountants and looked great doing it. And this was football stats guy. which his at on Twitter is stick to the model. It was great. It was really awesome. And I saw this guy's followed by Big Cat, so Big Cat must enjoy his content as well. So always fun to see that stuff. Did you guys see anything else during the first day of the combine that stuck out to you guys?
Yeah, Jet related. I think they spoke to every single quarterback at the combine. You know, it was funny. I was watching on TikTok a little while ago. It was a group that, you know, that had a media pass, and they're like, "Hey, did you talk to the Jets?" To every single quarterback that came up to speak, and every single quarterback talked about how great it was to speak with the Jets, but it was informal, and I thought that was funny. You know, it's hard. I'm impressed that they spoke to that many when Aaron Glenn's falling asleep during drills. You know, I figured he might have been a little tired, but
that was the best clip.
It hands down the greatest clip I've ever watched from the combine. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I mean, I guess it's them. You know, the Jets are doing their due diligence. They know what they need. It seemed like they did have formal interviews with Ty Simpson, Carson Beck, and Diego Pavia. Yeah, because that's what I'd love to see.
Drew Aller, I think.
What?
Aller, too.
Did they? It was informal with Aller.
Oh, was it? I thought it was formal.
Yeah, it was informal. But I have no doubts that they're going to do a formal interview with him, I'm sure. So that was impressive. Not impressive, but that was something that obviously, you know, as a Jet fan and just as a, you know, a fan of college football, that's something to keep an eye on because, you know, that can make or break a prospect. And in Ty Simpson's case, which I think we're going to save to talk about probably till next week, you know, is he a first-round guy or is he not? You know, I think he's testing at the combine. It'll be interesting to see his numbers. I know Mendoza is not. So, you know, is Ty Simpson going to come out of this essentially the crown jewel of two, so to speak? Obviously, we know Mendoza is the guy going first overall, unless the Raiders screw this up. You know, I think Ty Simpson, you know, he's a huge talking point right now at the combine. I also would really like to see, just to cover a couple more points, I want to see, does anybody know if Jeremiah loves running and testing?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because I'd really like to see where he tests against Jadarian Price. I anticipate that Price will probably run a faster time, but I think that right there, obviously Jeremiah Lez, number one running back in the class. That's not changing. But for a guy like Jadarian Price, does he test well enough to get that second, late first, early second rub? Very well could. And then it'll be interesting to see what wide receivers test, because we have, like Steve has been talking a lot about it, Mekhi Lemon went from being the third receiver in this class to now are we talking about him potentially being, I don't know if he'll leapfrog to number one in the class, but no, it sounds like Tyson's taking a tumble, and it's Mekhi Lemon and Cardinal Tate for number one. You know, will they, you know, where will those numbers stack up? You can't argue Mekhi Lemon's production against Cardinal Tate or even Jordan Tyson. He's the much more productive receiver. I understand he's probably not going to test athletically as strong as they will, but that's definitely a strong conversation. We'd really like to see where that stacks up. I hope they're all running. Yeah, and I'm going to let Kevin give his points from here, because the next thing I'd love to get into Sadiq, but I think I'm going to leave that for Kevin.
I thought we were going to leave like offensively till next week.
No, we're just doing talking points real quick. Just run through it real quick, and then
I mean,
we got a big interview to get to, brother.
Kenyan Sadiq's a freak athlete. I mean, he's shown it in the combine. I mean, I don't know if they're going right now, but his numbers are flying. He's ran a 4.39, and it does say it was the fastest by tight end ever. So he has that.
Yeah, it was Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah. So I mean, he's having a hell of a combine, but I think he's just a freak athlete. I know when Frick originally saw him, because he didn't really pay attention to him, when he said his arms were freaking the size of melons.
Yeah, dude, he's got his arms the size of the average man's thigh. You know, yeah. It's insanity. He looks like a defensive end. Like, I would put him against, like, you know, in terms of physique, I guess Ruben Bain, they say, is just as big as, you know, muscular. Kenny Sadiq is just as muscular as that. Like, yeah, like the dude looks like a defensive end. Yeah. Like, I don't, you know, he reminds me of like when people used to say DK Metcalf. Is he a receiver, or should we line him up on the, you know, put him on defense? Yeah, dude's a freak. I'm looking here, his 10-yard split, a 1.54, which is, I think, it puts him in that elite category. His broad jump was huge. The vertical jump, 43.5. Like, I mean, he's a freak for sure, and I think he's a true receiving threat. I like Sadiq a lot. Obviously, you know, as a Jet fan, we're not taking a tight end in the first round. Tight end needy teams, I could see him going middle of the first. You know, I think that he's and I think he becomes. I don't think he's going to be like a Brock Bowers or you know, or Colston or Warren type, because I don't think he could do what they can do. But as a receiving threat, I mean, we could be talking in a couple of years about him being the best receiving tight end in football. for what that's worth. I mean, the dude's a freak.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody can develop him into a little, I mean, he's got definitely the size and the strength to be able to block somebody.
Bro, if you're as big as him and you can't at least chip, that's all you got to do. You're massive. You're like a bowling ball.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fine.
I think Hayden Winks, I put that link in our little notes tab, but Hayden Winks said it best. This is Vernon Davis minus 13 pounds. But this tight end class, so I liked Eli Stowers today too. Stowers had 3 broad and a 45.5 vert, with which are both tight end records. So really impressive.
Is that like an NBA record, 45.5? That's like jumping out of the gym.
He should be in the dunk contest next year because the NBA dunk contest was atrocious.
God. These vertical jump numbers from the combine are insane. Like, I'm being serious. Like, I'm going to look that up. Who has the top vertical? Here, you talk. I'm going to look that up right now.
I feel like all the numbers this year are that, like, a lot of numbers are being broken. Not obviously not the 40 record, but a lot of the other numbers you're seeing as the top at this position for the broad jump or whatever. It's the athleticism in this draft class is pretty wild.
Yeah. And it's interesting to me because we're coming in and we're like, oh, this is the worst draft we've seen in a long time, and it doesn't have depth to it and stuff like that. But then more and more as these episodes go on and as other people start to talk themselves into it, it's like, oh, maybe the edge rush position is really deep. And then today I saw this might be one of the best linebacker classes since I think 2018, someone wrote. And then because Jacob Rodriguez had a really strong combine today, Anthony Hill had a really nice combine. So, and I know, Kevin, when you do those pre-draft or those mock drafts, you always seem to pick Anthony Hill. So you seem to like
I love Hill.
Just for perspective here, I want to so I have the 2025 NBA draft combine numbers. And so they did their standing vertical leap, which I think is what they do in the NFL combine, right? There's no run up to it. It's just standing vertical. The top standing vertical leap in the 2025 NBA draft combine was Drake Powell at 37.5. And max vertical leap, just for argument's sake, which I think is where they get to run up and jump, Drake Powell at 43. That's all I got to say.
Crazy how athletic some of these NFL guys are. The only thing I will say about tight ends, though, the difference between last year's tight ends and this year's tight ends are Colston, Loveland, and Warren, outside of being extremely above average receiving tight ends. We could be talking about those two being the best receiving tight ends in a few years also. They can also block Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland. That's the issue you're going to run into with Sadiq, and that's the issue you're going to run into, especially with Stowers, because Stowers, while he was at Vanderbilt, was solely a catching tight end. Like he wasn't in run formations. He wasn't there to block for them. And I think, when they had Pavia, they were a pretty pass-heavy offense to start with. But, Sadiq, Kev, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Oregon mostly used him as a, pass-catching tight end, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, he's in the run game. He did what he needed to do, but he's more obviously of the pass-catching threat.
Yeah. And what was his story during the playoffs? His grandmother passed away or something like that, like hours before.
I didn't see it. I tuned everything out after they lost.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's true.
About it.
I feel like there was a story out there, a family member passed away a few hours before, and he still played, and it was a really emotional moment. Obviously, if someone close passed away. He seems like a really good guy. I think he's going to do really well with the interviews as well at the combine. Another Oregon person I wanted to bring up, storylines we're going over. Dieneman, the safety. So people are saying, possible top 20 pick because the safety group was excellent today. The safety group averaged 4.42 on the 40-yard dash, which is just incredible. We talk about these numbers just going up even more every year. But Pro Football Focus also posted that Dieneman posted a 40-yard dash of 4.35, which was fourth, a 10-yard split of 1.52, which was third, a vertical jump of 41, which was second, and I believe they're going by safeties. and then a broad jump of 10-5, which was 7. So he really helped himself. This is a guy who we're talking second round. Now there's some people that are saying like, hey, maybe he has a case for first round. So we're going to see more of that this weekend. What do you say we switch it over? I don't know, Mike, are you ready for this? Share up that screen.
I am. Well, first, I think we're going to do our interview with Matt. We're going to do interviews at the end. Sorry. We changed our process.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, I'm ready to do it. I got it up. Let's switch over. So we're going to do, like we said, we're going to do a mock draft. We're each going to take over a team. I'm going to take the Raiders. Steve's going to take the Jets, which I think is the right thing to do here because we're both Jet fans. Let's get an unbiased third opinion here. And then Kevin's going to take the Cards. We are going to use mock draft database. There's a bunch out there. This one I think is best for what we're looking to do right now because there are draft grades per pick. Yeah, here's the thing. Are we going to allow trades and trade backs? I don't care. Kevin loves it. I personally don't care. I'm good with it. All I'm going to say is that if you do it, just make sure you justify why you did it, what your thinking was, explain it. This isn't Madden. Yeah. And with that, I'm good. Everyone on board. Everyone understands. You want to trade? Just justify your trade. Explain why you did it. I'm not trading the first overall pick. So, all right, we're going to get this done. Let's do the thing.
Mike.
What?
You are now on the clock.
Yeah, baby. I've already, me and make sure it's showing up on your end, please. We're good. Yeah.
I just want to throw one thing out there. So this is the first 3 that we're going to do. I think our plan is to eventually do the entire first round, I guess.
Yep.
So
this is the whole draft. Did you only want to do the first round?
No, I want to do the whole draft, but I'm talking, we do 3 teams tonight. Maybe we continue this.
Yeah, I think the idea is this because, well, we'll let the people that listen and watch decide. I think the idea is we cover the whole NFL. Maybe we could, we'll switch it up. And, the idea being, for instance, Steve isn't going to do the Jets again. That's the big thing. Kevin isn't going to do the Cards again. I won't do the Raiders again. But the idea is we're going to cover the whole, we've got enough time, I think, between now and the draft to put out a bunch of episodes to do this. I think the idea is we're going to cover every team's rebuild, or not rebuild, but every team's draft class, and see what we end up with, see how close we are, see what happens.
And then eventually do a combined first round, right? Toward when we get closer to the draft.
That I think would be a cool idea. We could literally do, I think maybe here's what we'll do. Maybe the week of the draft, we set out a complete first round mock of what we think.
That'd be cool.
The week of the draft. And you never know, now that we're starting to figure things out as podcasters, so to speak, like I said, we have the ability to go live. Maybe we go live for the draft.
That'd be cool.
And get live reactions, and we can talk about prospects. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so let's see how this goes.
Well, real quick, Mike, I eventually want to do a big board too. I think that's important for any NFL draft show. You see Todd McShay do it all the time. Daniel Jeremiah, all the big names. So I would like to get our big boards, like our own version of it. Also,
absolutely. I think we should probably start working on that now then. And we could make updates to it and, release it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, please, anybody that, the people that listen or watch, give us your input. Tell us what you want to see. You hate us, you love us. I don't care. Just let us know where you stand. Just
don't tell us to trade 1 million picks for Joe Burrow as if it's as easy as snapping your fingers.
Yeah, no, yes, please don't. I'd much prefer not doing that. But yeah. All right, so let's select our teams here. We got Vegas, we got the Jets, and we got Arizona. Does it make a difference?
Yeah, it goes really fast.
Yeah, but then people can't okay. So let's try it again.
We're only doing our teams. We don't need to. You don't need to see what everyone else is doing.
Why is Craig Carton on the screen?
I don't know, man. I don't even like Craig Carton. I don't like the fan.
Fan used to be solid.
All right. I'm going to start it. All right, boys.
Who are you going with?
Well, I want to review my trades first. I don't understand why Tennessee is looking to trade up to 1. So I'm going to reject that, even though that's not really that meaty. Oh, look, Cincinnati, I'm going to reject. Those are my only 2 trade offers. All right. So obviously, I don't think it's a shocker. Raiders need a quarterback. Fernando Mendoza, at the very least, seems like a culture changer. I think he's going to be a a very good quarterback in the NFL. Where that lies, I don't know. I think he probably falls somewhere 10 to 15, so I'm not going to waste time. I'm taking my future.
Did you see the story about Mendoza where he said a team told him to go get arrested so that he could fall in the draft?
I did not, but that's awesome. All right, Steve, you're up. So we got 4 trade offers. First, you got Carolina's offering you first, a fourth, and 2027 first. That's valuable right there. A second, third, and fourth. Again, I don't, that's up to you.
I think I want to stay in that second pick.
All right, so I'm just going to X out of it.
I don't think you trade.
Although I am curious, is it okay if we go through to see what the other offers are?
Yeah, why not?
Minus this man on a video here.
Oh, God.
Jeez.
All right, Cleveland.
In any way.
Cleveland's looking to move. Oh, Cleveland's offering you 2 firsts for him for that pick. That's Chicago. That's a weird one. Okay.
That Cleveland one was pretty solid, though.
that Cleveland offer, 6, 24. Although I think realistically as a Jets fan, I don't think they move that pick unless somebody offers them next year's first. So you're going to be moving on from this. You're not taking anything. You're good.
Yeah, move on. Although you would end up with 3 first-round picks this year. That'd be pretty nice.
That would be. But they'll do it next year, so.
I'm picking Ruben Bain. No, just kidding. I'm not picking Ruben Bain.
And if you need me to, Steve, just tell me. I can go to a specific category, pick whatever you need me to do. You tell me.
So I'm conflicted here, as conflicted as anyone who's been watching the combine and just been looking at the reports of David Bailey flying up the board. But honestly, like the position that the Jets are in, where we keep talking about this with Aaron Glenn, there's a good chance. The man's sleeping at the combine. He just no fucks given anymore. Like, just doesn't care. Probably who knows what he's doing in his hotel room till like 3 a.m. They go into the combine. No, I'm just
this is getting.
But the Jets are not in like win now. Like as painful as that probably is, like next season is going to be another year where it's like, you're lucky if you win 5 or 6 games. So do I need a David Bailey who's going to go on the field and there's a good chance he might get me 10 sacks the first season, 10 plus sacks? Not necessarily. Like I'm okay. I have a defensive minded coach in Glenn. That's like the one positive I'm going to say about Aaron Glenn, because I do not believe he should be a head coach in the NFL. But the positive is, even if I surround him around a project, somebody who can become a high ceiling player. I've been saying this from the start. Ever since I saw the player comp of Micah Parsons, I've just fell in love with Arvell Reese. I go back and forth with him being one of my favorites in the whole draft. So I think I'm picking Arvell Reese at number 2 for the Jets.
Locking it in?
Yep, lock it in.
All right. Kev, you're up. You got 5 offers. Do you want to entertain any of them?
Kev does love the trades.
I do love to trade back, but.
So you want to go through them real quick to see what they are?
Sure, why not?
All right, you got the Chargers offering you a first, second, and a 6th this year, first next year, and a 4th. New England's offering you. Yeah, I'm not even entertaining that. Buffalo, not entertaining that. No. You got Denver that's offering you this year's 30th, second, third, fourth, first next year, and 2 fourths next year. That's actually not a bad offer.
No, but still no.
And we're not. Yeah, we're dead. We're good. We don't need to see any more. Miami, we don't trade within. We don't do that. All right. What do you got?
So, yeah, I do believe it is right for them to go offensive tackle, or just to protect whoever that might be starting at quarterback, either Brissett or Kyler Murray, whoever they decide to trade or keep both of them. But yeah, I do think Fano's more of a left tackle, right? I feel like Maui Goa can either switch to either side. So I do feel like Maui Goa would be the more solidified pick here, just because I feel like there's a lot for him.
This one's one of just to add. This one's one of the tougher ones, because there's multiple schools of thought on this, and there are those that think Fano is the more polished, productive player, and then you got Maui Goa, who I think played against better competition. So yeah, this one's a tough one. I don't envy you here having to pick between the two.
Yeah, I think Maui Goa is the.
All right, we're locking Maui Goa in.
Yeah, I feel like he has a little bit of a higher ceiling. His floor's I feel like his floor is probably lower than Fano's, but I feel like he can project a little better.
Okay. All right, Steve. So I can't. This here is a huge pick. It's your second first round pick. You've got a bunch of different holes to address. You've got multiple positions you can attack with this pick.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to entertain? You only got one trade offer. I'm assuming you don't even want to entertain it.
I'm locking in my pick. When's my next pick, by the way? It's early second round, right?
You got the first pick. You got the 33rd pick 33rd. Overall. So you got the first pick of the second round. So you can kind of address multiple needs. I'm going to be honest with you based off today.
Wow.
Okay.
How is that a thing? How is that a thing? Come on.
So now here's the thing. Like I said, talking with us, the Jets need a wide receiver. They may need some defensive line help. They need a linebacker. They need some corner help. They need offensive guards. I got to be honest with you here after today. I'm not helping you.
At this point, there's no reason to talk.
Do you want to see what wide receivers are on the board?
No. So from the start, my thought was this. So I wasn't after I made the pick of Arvell Reese, I kind of figured Styles was going to be off the board, honestly. But my thought was this wide receiver. I really like this wide receiver class, and I like the discussion that people are having where it's like, if you don't get one of the first three guys that are on the board, you can certainly land somebody in the second round. Knowing that the Jets had that first pick in the second round, or now that I learned that, my thought was, all right, I'm going to get a nice target for Garrett Wilson, but this cornerback position is not that deep this year. So I started thinking, I like McCoy there. I was kind of hoping, what's the LSU cornerback's name?
Delane
off the board by now.
Delane
or something.
Yeah, he's gone. It's basically just first round prospects. It's McCoy and Hood. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean Hood would have been another one I would have been thinking about. McCoy hasn't played, right? Didn't he have like an ACL or something? Or
he was out last year.
Yeah, he was out.
Yeah,
somebody said that I saw that if he did play this year, they'd be talking about top 5 pick.
So I'm thinking, your defense just needs resurrection right now. You need to rebuild that defense, the Jets. I don't think you can go wrong by taking the most talented person on the board. And honestly, if this ever was to happen, I'd probably just walk out of the room and just question some of the owners in the NFL. I can't believe that Sonny Styles would ever be on the board at pick 16 is this? If Sonny Styles is available at pick 16, I don't care if you have 5 Pro Bowl players at his position, you still take him and find somewhere else to put him. Honestly, go put him at the safety position like people were joking around about today. But honestly, you could realistically move Reese to full-time edge rusher and make Sonny Styles that linebacker on the Jets defense.
Or you just play them together at linebacker together.
Yeah.
I just love how when I said, hey, do you want to see the wide receiver? Steve goes, no.
That was Sonny Styles on the board. Give me Sonny Styles all day.
Oh God, that was hands down probably my favorite. I don't think that moment's going to be topped at all. That was hands down my favorite moment.
You get to pick again next too.
You get to pick again next. You've got 4 trade offers. I think we could go through them. I think it's fair. You got Rams offering you this year's 3rd, next year's 2nd, next year's 5th.
Nope.
Definitely. You got Kansas City offering you this year's 3rd, this year's 5th, next year's 3rd, next year's 4th, next year and 2 5ths. You got Baltimore offering you this year's 3rd, this year's 4th, next year's 3rd, next year's 4th, and 2 5ths. That's a heavy offer. And you got Cleveland offering you a trade back of 6 picks for this year's 2nd and 2 5ths. None of them?
I'm going to keep the pick.
Okay. So what are you thinking here? What do you want to see? You tell me.
Yeah, let me see the receivers now.
So, Steve's guys there.
Yeah.
You got Malachi Fields, Zachariah Branch, Chris Bell, Chris Brazel, and Elijah Surratt. I mean, I can go down further, but
the only thing that crushes me here is Ty Simpson still on the board.
Is he?
Yeah,
he is still on the board.
And that would have been probably a nice thing to do is get a quarterback there, but
you do have another second round pick.
Say you have pick 44 too.
Man,
do you take a chance though? Because I mean, you had a run on. There was clearly a run on wide receivers in the first round. I think what would have gone here. Let's see. I think you would have had 5 that went in the first round.
Yeah, give me Malachi Fields. I like Fields too much to let him slip away.
Okay, Kev, I think you're going to be next. All right, Kev. Are we looking at these? You only got 2, so we might as well.
Yeah, might as well.
You got Tampa Bay offering you this year's 4th, this year's 5th, next year's 2nd, 5th, and a 6th. And you got Atlanta offering you this year's 4th, this year's 7th, next year's 2nd, next year's 4th, and next year's 7th.
Nah.
Yeah, those didn't move me at all. I think that Steve had better offers. I got to be honest here.
Yeah.
All right, Kev. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't pay attention to the Cardinals, so I don't even know what you need. I'm going to assume they need everything.
I see something really nice there.
I see Mesidor. I was actually talking to another group that I'm in, and Mesidor is a little older. I do feel like he might, like a team that's more put together, I feel like would take him over, like instead of somebody that's still trying to rebuild. I know they have Walter Nolan at D tackle, so I don't know if they go Banks or
Hood's there still. Wow.
Yeah.
You want to go to a specific position, or
go to edge. I want to see who else is there besides Mesidor.
Yeah, there's some good edge rushers.
Yeah.
Who got drafted? A lot of edge rushers got drafted then.
Yeah.
Wow. There was a run.
Run.
Wide receivers and edges were clearly depleted.
Yeah. I think R. Mason Thomas is going to jump up, though, so that's not a bad edge rusher right there.
Yeah. Yeah, give me Mason Thomas. I just don't think Mesidor is going to fit with the Cardinals yet.
All right. So, again, luxury being the Raiders here. We need just about everything except tight end, running back, and maybe defensive end. I don't know. Am I keeping Max Crosby? I don't know. So we got 3 offers here. I'm being offered the Buffalo's 2nd, 3rd, next year's 4th and 5th. Really don't do it for me. Green Bay's 4th this year, 2nd next year, and 4th next year. No. Jacksonville's no. I don't really trade, so I'm just going to ignore these. So I, based off the way that this has gone, I mean, I would very much like to build my offense around Mendoza, and I think I got some good pieces. I got, I've got Genty, I've got Bowers, wide receiver. Like I said, I don't really have much there. I'm not a Trey Tucker believer. It's just, I know that if I don't take one of these, if I don't take Branch, he's not going to be there. Or do I take Bell? This is tough.
Do you take
a wide receiver desperately?
Do you take the connection?
Yeah, I could take Surratt, but that would probably be viewed as a reach right now. But I know that if I wait, I probably miss. It sucks.
Surratt apparently did excellent during the interviews today at the combine. So, I like him. It's just the only thing with Surratt is his route running is a little questionable.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I need a big body. He is a big body receiver. They still have Trey Tucker.
Wait, can you go back to the lineman? Where were you?
So, I was looking at.
How do you not go with Dunker? Have you seen his handlebar mustache that he has?
You know what? I very much have.
I feel like that if it was the Raiders, that they would go interior more than out.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm looking at here, because you got Colton Miller still. You got Jackson Powers Johnson, who I do believe actually had a decent year, a center, but I'm not. He was a rookie last year. I'm really depleted at wide receiver. Like I've got no big. Jake Betch, but he's. I don't know. It's tough because Branch isn't a true number one. He's not a big body. He's more of a gadget guy. Bell is a big body. What?
He's better than what you have. That's for sure.
Yeah, I know. I do like the Surratt connection, though.
Don't sleep on getting Antonio Williams in the later rounds.
Yeah, because if I wait 67th pick, I'm not going to get one of them. It's a tough one. I don't know where I want to go with this. Ty Simpson, just double up so I don't miss. Yeah, I got to go wide receiver. I'm gonna go best available here because I'm missing out either way. I might double up later in the draft. I'm gonna take Branch because he's the best receiver available. Like Steve said, he's better than anything I got. He is a small gadgety kind of guy, quick twitch, probably more of a slot. In this situation, I'm hoping that either I land a big body later, maybe in the third, or I can develop Jake Betcher, or even what's that kid, Dante Thornton. So I'm taking Branch here. I need to get somebody in that room to help provide some kind of production. So, Steve, you got one offer.
Help Mendoza out.
Yep. You got one offer here. I don't think you're going to take it.
No, I'm good.
All right. So you've addressed. Well, let's see. You've addressed your ends, your defense. You've really addressed your defense, and you got yourself a big bodied. You got yourself the definition of a big bodied wide receiver. You're free to ask us any questions you want about filling this roster. Anything but you go for it,
guys. Do I do Colton Hood or do I do Ty Simpson?
I mean, both are
needs. But obviously, you don't have a quarterback. You don't have a productive football team. So I don't need to tell you that. I think, in all fairness,
I don't
removing fandom from this. Ty Simpson at the 44th pick is probably pretty good value.
Yeah,
I agree. I don't personally. I don't see that happening, but
yeah.
No, I think Ty Simpson's going to find his
happening either.
Wait,
yeah, I think there's a chance Ty Simpson goes at that 16, or if it before maybe. It depends how he tests, but the Jets seem to love him. I don't think if they want him, they're not going to wait. So, but yeah,
before you pick him, I'm most likely going Ty Simpson. Can I just see safety real quick?
I was about to say the only other position I would say.
Oh my gosh, I really wanted Dieneman.
Listen. Hey, you could take a quarterback later. You don't have a pick to the 4th round, but I anticipate you're gonna have guys like you might have Nussmeier there. You might have Alar. You'll have Beck and Alar for sure. Sawyer Robertson, who the Jets interviewed, apparently like. Talon Green, who's a physical freak, who a lot of people think could develop into a starter. You got options.
What's the safety position look like for the Jets?
Right now, you've got one starter, and is Malachi Moore. Cisco is on a 1-year deal. You could re-sign Tony Adams and bring him back, who's middle of the pack at best. Yeah.
Malachi Moore, that's it.
Man, that's a decision right there. I honestly, I would love to just go get one of those quarterbacks, or at least try to trade for one of those quarterbacks. I like Dieneman a lot. You guys heard me earlier in the episode. I really think he could be a 1st-round player at this point. And the way he just measured today and his results from the combine,
I know, man, that's really high on the Toledo guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, McShay really sells him pretty good. Thinks he's a Ed Reed style player, a true ball hawk that he says most of the other safeties in his class aren't. But he didn't test super well athletically. But again, game speed and combine speed are two different things. Yeah, Steve's got to, do you continue to build that defense? And in this hypothetical, you could literally just say in this hypothetical, you traded for a McKee, you traded for a Mills, you traded for Kyler Murray. Obviously, that would affect your picks, but you could choose not to do that and address it that way.
Yeah, give me Dieneman. I want my safety.
So Steve has chosen. He's going to build this team's backbone and defense. Kev, do you care? Kev, do you care?
Nope. All right, what do we got?
So, it looks like they're steering you towards linebacker. Right now we're at pick 65. So it looks like they're pushing linebacker. Kev, you kind of might have a quarterback situation on your hands yourself.
That's true. It's true.
It doesn't look like. Yeah, I mean, obviously Simpson's gone. I don't know where he went, but it's going to be a reach, I think, to go quarterback here.
Yeah, I think
your next selection after this, you got to wait.
Yeah. I do feel like, I do think that the Cardinals, yes, they do have a quarterback issue, but I do feel like they have at least a bridge, whether it is Kyler or Brissett, whichever one they decide to go with. So I do feel like if they can go defense, and with all these linebackers and everybody testing so highly, I do feel like why not just go defense? So yeah, just give me. Is that Jake? Yeah, give me
Jake Galladay.
Yeah, give me
You want Jake Galladay or Jacob Rodriguez?
Yeah, Rodriguez is there.
Nah, we don't like Texas Tech here.
He ain't wrong. All right, I'm picking. So I've got 5 trade offers. I'm not building for the future. I'm building for right now. All right. So Surratt's still there. Damn, I screwed myself. I'm so disappointed now. However, I still need another receiver.
Too bad you have a tight end already because Stowers is still there also.
Yeah, Stowers is there.
Double up on wide receiver.
I was about to say, but I still need one. I mean, even if I add Zachariah Branch, who's not a true number one, probably he's still better than Trey Tucker. Probably he's still better than Jacob Betch right now.
Truthfully, you need offensive line help desperately too.
I would say, more interior than anything.
Interior line, yeah, and it's left guard or center. But sitting where we are right now, I I mean, Connor Lew wouldn't be a reach. Centers are definitely a reach, though, I bet.
Slaughter's not bad. That's a reach there.
Yeah, so they don't do centers. It's all inside linemen. Okay. Yeah, God, that sucks because Surratt that would be really good for Mendoza.
Big, but do you want to go back-to-back receivers is the question.
I mean, they need it.
Yeah, but also in this hypothetical, I might be moving on from Max Crosby. I probably need an edge too. Jackus is there.
Real quick, think about what your offense becomes though. If you have Branch, Surratt, Bowers, Genty, and Mendoza, that for a head coach that's an offensive-minded head coach, that's such a fun offense in my opinion. And that Mendoza's thrown to his guy now. Like he has a connection with Surratt.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you here. Obviously, you took a defensive approach to the Jets. I'm going full offense. I'm taking Surratt here. One, the connection. Two, their desperate need for offensive help. This move also gives them a big-bodied wide receiver. Thornton didn't pan out. He was an athletic freak. I don't think he's the guy. I think that this would allow Branch to move into that slot position. I could start Trey Tucker or Betch on the outside. I'll take Surratt here. And if also in the end frees up Ginty and Bowers. So I think that we're going offensive heavy. We're going to give Mendoza every chance to be our guy for the future and the next decade. So I'm taking Surratt here. Not popular probably to go double wide receiver. I probably could have got Surratt, should have waited and then took Surratt, not taking Branch. But in this situation, it all worked out. We doubled up on wide receivers.
Next.
I think it might be me. It's me.
Wow, look at that.
It's back
to the Giants. Yeah, I'm going to reject.
Goodbye. Yeah.
All right. So I could use. I feel I could use some corners here. I got Eric Stokes and I got Kelly Q. I don't even know how to say that guy's name. KKB. But I do need offensive linemen. Let me see where I'm sitting on the inside here. Oh, heck's not a bad pick. Coogan. Yeah, but that's late. That's a late pick.
How's he so far back? I like Coogan.
Now listen, Coogan, I don't understand that myself. Tackles, I think I'm good.
Why don't you take another receiver in Skylar Bell?
I think so. Could you imagine? One of them's bound to be decent.
It's the Raiders we're talking about. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think the first person you said is a great pick.
I honestly, I think I'm going to go Igbinosin here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to justify it by saying, one, you can never have enough corners, but two, corner from a winning program, won a national championship, and trying to create a winning program. I've got Mendoza. I've got Surratt. I got Zachariah Branch, who I'm pretty sure has a national championship as well. I haven't really addressed much in terms – I haven't addressed any defense at all. I'm going to bring in Davison Igbinosin to create some winning culture on the defense. And in this situation, somehow I'm keeping Max Crosby.
Yeah, I'm just not doing trades, I don't think.
Okay, well, good. That one was stupid anyway. All right, so you want to review here. You've really addressed the defense pretty good here. You got yourself a wide receiver. You don't have anybody to throw him the ball, but you got him.
Honestly, I love this. I might go Garrett Nussmeier here. Nussmeier had a really great senior day or senior bowl. I'm curious to see how he does at the combine. He's probably testing, right?
I think he's throwing at the combine. Yes.
Real quick though, let me just let me see running back real quick. Singleton. Yeah. Can I see receiver too? And lastly, cornerback. I just want to see. You were just looking at that.
Yeah, Devin Moore is your best guy on the board right now.
What do you guys know about Devin Moore? Anything?
Not much.
I got to be honest, I don't know enough about him to even give you a critique. You know, obviously we know Florida wasn't all that in a bag of chips this year, that's for sure.
Wasn't their defense all right, though? Like, they had, like...
Defense, I'm pretty sure the defense is all they had. He's a high INT guy. He's a ball hawk, for sure. I just want to see what his measurables are. Oh, he's a big corner.
What do you guys
6'3", 200 pounds. I'll tell you, NFL Network has him as traits to be an above-average backup. His athleticism, I guess he didn't test too great. Ran a 4.5, 1.56 second split, which, you know, for a corner, probably not great.
Yeah, give me give me Nussmeier. I like Nussmeier.
All right, Kev.
No.
Are you making a trade or no? All right, nobody's making trades. We're going forward with that. Kev, what do you want to see?
Well, I know they drafted what's his face last year, right? Second round cornerback that fell. Is it Michigan guy?
Oh, yeah, Will Johnson.
Yeah.
Dude,
he was hurt.
Lawson at 92. That's really solid. I don't know if you guys need a linebacker, but
didn't I just take? Yeah, I took a
you
linebacker.
just picked the linebacker. Never mind. I like Burks from Oklahoma. I don't know if you need a receiver.
I also feel like
Oscar Delp, baby,
would need a interior offensive lineman.
They are telling you to take a quarterback, my friend.
Look, show me the interior.
You could get Carson Beck.
Yeah,
that's who they're saying you should take.
Give me Hecht. I feel like they need some interior offensive line help.
Okay, all right.
Who's next?
Oh, where?
Is it you?
I'm up. Yeah. Let's take a look here. So I got a corner. Let me look at. This is a tough one. I really do need interior linemen, but I'm just not. They're not moving me at all.
Notre Dame guys always pan out in the NFL. I don't know what it is about.
Yeah. I don't really know. I mean, I feel confident in what I did with the offense. What's my backup? Who's a backup running back for the Raiders now? Oh, it's Mostert. Never mind. He'll be good for at least another year, so I don't have to worry about that. I could use a defensive tackle. See who's there.
Nope.
All right, I'm just going to resolve it.
He cut out.
Our mock draft, everyone.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's over.
Yeah.
I feel like all around, like, it all made sense what we were doing.
Oh, I agree.
I feel like
maybe we should cut. Should we cut it there? Or?
Yeah. It was
I feel like
to the boring part of the draft, and I don't know if people want to listen to that anyways.
Yeah.
Mike's gonna come back in and try to boot it up again, probably.
I know.
I would say that was a pretty good episode. We got to talk the first night of the combine.
Yep.
We got to do a little bit of a mock draft. Maybe that's what we should start doing moving forward is maybe do the first 3 or 4 rounds. And then, that's even like when I'm doing the mock draft on my own, I don't really like the 6th, 7th round, even the 5th.
Yeah, you can never project it really.
Yeah. So we'll cut it off there. I guess Riverside's telling us that we don't need to finish this mock draft.
Yep.
So we're going to kick it over to the Matt Miller interview with ESPN. I've been liking this format. Put the interview at the end, let us get our stuff out of the way. But this was excellent. I'm not trying to overshadow it. I am going to cut it up where I do put Matt Miller, like last week, our interview on its own too at some point later in the week. But for now, this is our episode. We'll shoot it over to Matt Miller. Catch us next week. We're going to talk about the rest of the NFL Combine. We'll see you then. So I'm going to bring in Matt Miller of ESPN. Been reading, watching your stuff for years now, especially since Bleacher Report, and now you're with ESPN. I wanted to ask a quick personal question, if that's okay, to kick off this interview. I noticed that other than a short stint at New Era before Bleacher Report, you've mostly been with the NFL Draft and covering the NFL Draft. What kind of made you gravitate towards a liking towards the NFL Draft? Because I feel like for you to specifically say, that's what I'm going to do, that's my interest, that's a big leap right there, especially since NFL Draft, what it is now, wasn't necessarily what it was in 2011 when you joined Bleacher Report.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I've been asked that a lot, and it's funny. I don't have a good answer because as long as I have a memory of what I wanted to do when I grew up, it was this. So, when I was in the 3rd or 4th grade, I had to write a paper of like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And my answer was, I want to be Mel Kiper Jr. and I want to cover the NFL Draft for ESPN. And I remember giving it to my teacher, and I'm so excited about it. My teacher's like, what is this kid talking about? Like, who is Mel Kiper Jr.? What is the NFL Draft? How is this a thing? So like from the time I was 8 years old, I can remember back when the draft was Saturday, Sunday, begging my parents. There were twice a year we got to miss church on Sunday, the Super Bowl and the NFL Draft. That was it. And so it's just always been, my thing that I'm obsessed with. Like my son's obsessed with Pokemon cards. For me, that's the NFL Draft, right? It's just the thing that none of my friends really understood why I liked it or why, I was obsessed with it. My older brothers didn't understand why I was obsessed with it, but something about like the studying players and how they fit with teams and matching them together. It was something I did for free. So it's like the answer of like, well, what would you do if you won the lottery and never had to work again? My answer was always, I would cover the NFL Draft. And I did it for free for goodness, 8 years before I found Bleacher Report. It was just a hobby that I worked in marketing. I worked as a nurse for a couple of years, and like the draft was just my weird hobby that I had. Like some people golf. I broke down players for free. So thankfully Bleacher Report came along in 2010, and I sent in an application having never heard of Bleacher Report. I don't think in November 2010 a lot of people had. And then here I am, almost 16 years later, still doing it.
Yeah, I remember some of like the team specific coverage for Bleacher Report. You could just like sign up for the website and they would let you cover, and then it became a little more extensive with who they were expecting. But yeah, that's a really cool story about how you found your passion. For you, I mean, for any journalist in the sports media realm, making that step towards ESPN is a huge thing. What was like your big moment? Like you mentioned Mel Kiper Jr. You mentioned, or you didn't mention, but it used to be a power team of Kiper Jr. and Todd McShay covering the NFL draft. And then it's just exploded into this big thing where you guys have a NFL Daily Draft show on ESPN. So that only comes with like interest from the viewership. What was the moment where you realized like, it feels like the NFL draft is kind of becoming the Super Bowl for, a lot of the other NFL fans who maybe didn't have their team in the Super Bowl this year. And was there any like pinch me moments for you when you got to ESPN?
Oh yeah, so many. My first draft with ESPN was in Cleveland. And it was kind of during like, things were very much still shut down with COVID. And I remember getting the phone call. I wasn't even full time at ESPN yet. I was a contract employee at that point. And they're like, "Hey, we want you to come to Cleveland to do NFL Live every day. And like, we want to keep Kiper and McShay fresh because the draft is an animal, right? So it's like, we want to keep Mel and Todd fresh. We're going to bring you in to do the daytime TV hits so that those guys aren't waking up at 6 in the morning to do Sports Center after they've been on all night." And just to be like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to be the middle reliever for Kiper and McShay. I can handle that. Like, this is great. And then, to fast forward and to be on the desk next to those guys in Kansas City, which is, just up the road from where I'm from. That was like still the craziest career moment for me, was to know that Kiper, talked to management at ESPN. I was like, "Hey, we need to put Matt on the desk of the draft," and then to have it be in Kansas City. And there've been a lot of those moments. But you're right, the draft is blown up. In 2013, Bleacher Report started sending me to the Super Bowl because we viewed it as there are 2 teams in the Super Bowl. There are 30 that want to be. And so I would go do Radio Row for 5 days talking in those other 30 markets about the draft. And it was something really, really smart that we did that helped, both my profile and the profile of Bleacher Report really blow up. And I'm not saying we're responsible for the growth of interest in the draft, but I do think, educating fans that the only way to get where you want to be Super Bowl weekend is by nailing the draft. And it was just kind of right place, right time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. It's just wild thinking about like when even I was a kid and what the NFL draft was. It wasn't like this holiday that it's turned into. And I remember Nashville a few years ago. It looked like it just went back for miles. The crowd, so that was unreal to see.
I'm jealous I wasn't at that one, because you hear stories about, oh my gosh, Nashville. My first traveling one was Cleveland. So no disrespect to Cleveland. It didn't have quite the Nashville vibe. So we'll see. I think Pittsburgh this year is going to be fun. And then DC next year is obviously going to be wild.
Oh, and the nation's capital, that's going to be unreal. But Pittsburgh, such a blue collar city, long football history. That's going to be an exciting one too. I know you've been talking a lot about players, but there was a few things about the NFL draft I wanted to talk about. Specifically, like first round. I know you released something the other day. There was like 11 or 12 players that had first round grades already. Who do you feel like is a first round player that isn't getting mentioned nearly as much as you believe he should be?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I only gave out 11 first round grades this year, which is the lowest I've ever given out. And I'm really hopeful that I find a couple more that that maybe it's a player that like the injury wasn't as bad as we thought, or some, so it allows you to elevate them back to a first round grade. But someone that's not getting enough attention, that's a good question. I would probably say Spencer Fano at offensive tackle, which there's a chance he's the second offensive tackle that comes off the board, but I don't know that he's being talked up enough. just given how well he played at Utah the last 3 years. I mean, he was a left tackle 3 years ago. He moves to right tackle because Caleb Lomu comes along, and he gave up 1 sack the last 2 years. 6'6", 305 pounds. He moves well. He's boring. He's so good, but he should be a top 10 pick. And I don't think that that's getting talked about enough because we are rightfully so fascinated with Mendoza. We're fascinated with Jeremiah Love, and we're fascinated with the pass rushers. But here's this just no nonsense beast of a right tackle that's really just kind of been buried in terms of the coverage, which, you mentioned we're doing a daily draft show now. And the idea is to be able to talk more about, and not just guys like Spencer Fano, who will be a top 15 pick, but to talk about, players as we get into the, rounds 2, 3, day 3, and really go a little bit deeper on some of these guys.
Yeah, I'm happy you brought that up because every year you hear about I've had a few guys on here that were round 6 draft picks and now they're in the starting lineup, and they always talk about how much of a chip they had on their shoulder, and they wear that badge. They're happy to wear that badge as a success story from the late rounds. Is there anyone that comes to mind to you, like middle round, late rounds, that could turn into that like solidified starter, make a long NFL career?
Yeah, and this is important this year, especially because everyone's down on this draft class. Every draft in history has had a Hall of Fame player. Right? So like your job as a scout is to go find them. There's going to be all pros. Go find them. Your teams still have to use their picks. So there's got to be 7 or 8 good players. Let's go find them. I'm obsessed with D'Angelo Ponds, the nickel corner from Indiana. I think he's everything you want in a football player, and he's 24 years old. He's 5'9", 180 pounds, but he's just a baller. He's just a great football player. So he's probably the player this year, right? I think he'll be over evaluated to some degree, and he'll probably slip in the draft because of it, because we all overthink things. But I mean, we're talking about a guy who, can be the next Tyrann Mathieu, the next Antoine Winfield Jr. He can be that awesome nickel player, and the tape says it. And I think interceptions are one of the few stats that carry over really, really well positively from college to the NFL. Like if you get picks in college, you're probably gonna get picks in the NFL. It's a timing thing, it's an instincts thing. All he does is make big plays, and I'm willing to bet that those translate really, really well to Sundays.
Yeah, it was fun to see what that Indiana defense turned into from not being talked about early in the season to one of the best units in all of college football, and winning a championship. But I have a scenario-based question for you. We keep hearing about the wide receivers. I feel like that's one of the positions that people do feel like is, deep. I feel like it's between that and the edge rushers this year. But yeah, if you're like in a position like say the Giants or something where I see headlines for the Giants that they could pick a receiver at 5. They could not pick a receiver and go after like a Caleb Downs or something. But if you're the Giants, knowing that like a Boston Branch, Malachi Fields might be available to you, possibly in the second round. I don't know if like Boston will be, but knowing that those guys could be available when you're drafting in the second round, are you laying off a guy like a Lemon, a Tate, or a Tyson, or do you feel like those are guys you just can't let go?
I think you have to be aware of the depth of the position, right? So you got to have your horizontal board of here are my first round receivers, here are my second round receivers. Okay, if we feel like this is a really like corner class, just for an example, I think there's 2 good corners in the first round, and then it's a drop off. So and you have to be aware of that. If our board gets wiped out, at receiver, we know there's gonna be depth in round 2, round 3. So I think that's like the fascinating part of draft philosophy is best player available is obviously one way of thinking. The other way of thinking is, okay, we only have 2 corners with round 1 grades. We got 8 receivers with round 2 grades. Where's our round 2 corner grades at? So if we go receiver round 1, what does corner look like in round 2? What does wide receiver look like as you get deeper in the draft? So you're trying to find the balance between those spots. I'm in love with Mekhi Lemon. I think I would probably just take him at 5 and be really, really happy with him and Malik Neighbors going side by side, right? But to your point, if you want to go with a different position in round 2, how do you value Zachariah Branch as an option? How do you value Jeremy Bernard, Omar Cooper? Where do you put in players like Antonio Williams and Jacoby Lane? So I do think that would be fascinating this year to watch and see, to use your words, what positions do teams maybe lay off versus which ones do they say, this draft is really, really light at running back. It's light at defensive tackle. It's incredibly, almost non-existently talented at quarterback, right? So it's like, okay, we know safety, tight end, wide receivers pretty deep. Do those spots get pushed to round 2 and round 3? I could definitely see that.
Yeah, another scenario based, and this isn't like a gotcha type thing because I know they have content and that they talk to people close to the inner circles. But the other day, and I love their podcast, by the way, Todd McShay and Steve Mensch, they had a conversation about Fernando Mendoza, and you mentioned the quarterback class, so I wanted to get your opinion on this. They were talking about Mendoza being a guy, but not the guy. What are your thoughts on that? Because it sounded like they were okay with if the Raiders decided this is probably not going to happen. It sounds like they're leaning towards picking Mendoza, but they would have been okay with the Raiders trading back because of what 2027's class is going to be.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that conversation on Mendoza and you know the thought of possibly trading back and waiting for a quarterback for next year?
I think it's a hard sell to your fans to trade back and wait, especially on a player who just went, he lost one game. Or excuse me, Indiana's lost one game the last 2 years. He went undefeated this year, wins the Natty, wins the Heisman. Only other guy to do that's Joe Burrow, and he's turned out pretty good. And I think there's some comps between their game, right? In terms of the poise, the toughness, the accuracy, sneaky mobility. So I would say, sure, if we want to rank Mendoza against the last 5 years of quarterbacks, no, he's not going to be up there for me with Burrow. He's not going to be up there with Caleb Williams, but he's going to be a hell of a lot higher than some of the other guys that have been drafted early. And so I think there's a big risk in, if we had this conversation a year ago, you would have said, will you be comfortable not taking Jackson Dart because in 2026 you're going to have Garrett Nussmeier, Kate Klubnik, Lenora Sellers. We're not talking about those guys at all right now.
Yeah.
Carson Beck. We're not talking about these guys. So I think the worry, and Arch Manning's fantastic, Dante Moore's fantastic. Yeah, they're probably going to be solid. If they're that good and the Raiders trade out to get all this extra draft capital for next year, why the hell would the teams at 1 and 2 trade out of that? If you're the Jets next year and you're at 1, you're not trading out of Arch Manning. If you're whoever, the Browns, and you have number 2, you're not trading out of Dante Moore. So I think the risk would be you're building all this future capital, but what if you can't spend it? I think that's what gets lost at times is it takes 2 to trade, right? And these teams at the top, if you were looking at Arch Manning and Dante Moore, and then by the way, like, it's not just them, it's Jeremiah Smith, it's Colin Simmons, it's Dylan Stewart, like it's Jordan Seaton. Teams at the top probably aren't trading next year. And so I think, the devil is better than the one you don't. I would just take Mendoza at 1 and try to build a really good team around him.
Yeah. Talking about next year's draft, I guess this is my final question, but it's a two-parter in some ways because Dante Moore opted to go back to Oregon when he probably would have most likely been the second person off the board.
Yeah.
I would think the Jets probably take him. And then Chambliss put up a fight to get another year of eligibility when a lot of people were starting to talk about Chambliss being the third quarterback in this draft. So, behind Mendoza and Ty Simpson. So he would have probably gotten, picked a lot earlier than possibly next year. We'll see how he does in the fall. But like you said, there's a lot of great quarterbacks most likely entering the draft next year. But you've been pretty heavy on the 2027 class since January of 2025, I think it was. You made a tweet about it. What's made you so excited about this class? I know a lot of quarterbacks are coming in, but is there anything more than the quarterbacks, or are you just so high on these quarterbacks?
Yeah, I made a tweet January 2025, and I said 2027's draft would be the best I've ever covered. And that was before Dante Moore had become Dante Moore, right? That was over a year ago. So it is the quarterbacks, but it's guys like Colin Simmons and Dylan Stewart, edge rushers from Texas, South Carolina, respectively. It is Jordan Seaton, the offensive tackle, who's now at LSU, right? Who left Colorado. It's Leonard Moore. The only player that shut down Mekhi Lemon all year is Leonard Moore, the corner from Notre Dame. So it's just a really good class all the way around. Yes, we're going to talk so much about Arch Manning and Dante Moore and other players. Julian Sayans in that class. It is a good quarterback group. It's a good running back group with Ahmad Hardy and Isaac Brown. It's a good safety class with Coy Parrish and KJ Bolden. It's just a really good draft, and we might see 5 receivers go in the top 15 picks because Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams and Cam Coleman are up there. So it's just top to bottom. It will be if everyone is as good next year as they were this year, not even factoring in getting better. If they're as good next year as they were this year, it'll be the deepest draft class I've ever studied.
Yeah, that's really exciting, and this college football season is going to be great too because I was making my early top 12, and I was like, I'm having a hard time picking who's going where, who's sleeper, stuff like that. So a lot of talent in college football, but that was Matt Miller, ESPN. You probably know him by now, but definitely follow his work. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, of course, happy to do it.
Yeah, I'll just edit this out. But thanks for joining me. I know you have a busy schedule, but I appreciate you giving us some time today.
Yeah, sorry it was so short, but hit Lily up in the future if you need anything.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, and good luck with the coverage.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right, take care.
All right, see ya.